The wind came first. December 8th, 1884, 7:45 in the evening. Montana Territory turning cruel under a sky the color of old iron. The blizzard hit the valley like God's own fist, rattling fence posts and barn doors, turning the world into a wall of white that swallowed everything it touched. Cal Brennan rode through it, 37 years old, 6 feet tall, shoulders broad from decades of ranch work. His coat was crusted white with ice, his jaw set against the cold that bit through leather and wool like they were nothing. The mare beneath him struggled through drifts that came up to her chest. Each step was a battle. Each breath burned his lungs. He was thinking about the town council meeting, about the whispers that followed him out of the courthouse. Why does a wealthy man choose isolation? Why does he turn down every widow who shows interest? What is he hiding out there on that ranch alone? Except for his help, the questions always came. They had been coming for 5 years now, ever since Sarah died. Ever since the funeral where he stood dry-eyed while the whole town wept. Ever since he sold the house in town and moved permanently to the ranch, cutting himself off from anything that resembled community. Let them whisper. He had earned his solitude. The ranch gate appeared through the snow like a ghost materializing, iron hinges screaming in the wind. The latch was frozen. Cal dismounted his boots, sinking into snow up to his knees. The metal burned his palm when he grabbed it cold enough to stick to skin. He was reaching for the gate when the vision hit him. A boy, 7 years old, running through snow just like this, small legs pumping, arms outstretched. The word Papa forming on his lips but never quite making it out because the ice gave way beneath his feet and the creek swallowed him whole, and Cal was too far away, always too far away, reaching, but never close enough. Cal jerked back to the present, his heart hammering, his breath coming too fast. 5 years since Nathan drowned, since Sarah died in childbirth with the twins, since Cal's world ended in ice and blood and grief that had no bottom. 5 years, and the flashbacks still came without warning. He shook his head, forced his breathing to slow, opened the gate, led the mare through. That was when he saw her, small figure, maybe 70 pounds, threadbare coat doing nothing against the cold. She was stumbling along the fence line like a drunk, one hand trailing on the wood for balance. Her steps were uneven, wrong. Cal watched her for 3 seconds, watched her try to take another step, watched her knees buckle. She hit the fence and went down. He caught her before the snow did, light as kindling in his arms, burning with fever even through her wet clothes. Her skin was the color of ash, her lips cracked and bleeding, her breathing shallow and wrong. She looked up at him, eyes trying to focus, failing. 6 words came out, barely a whisper. "I'm sick. I can't walk. Can I stay one night?" Cal looked at his house, 100 yards through the blizzard, smoke pouring from the chimney thick as wool, the only warm thing in a frozen world. He looked down at the child in his arms, at the fever-bright eyes, at the way her small hand clutched his coat like she was holding on to the edge of a cliff. Nowhere to take her. Not tonight, not in this storm. By morning, he would have to make a decision. By morning, everything would change. But that was morning. This was now. He carried her inside. The warmth hit like a wall, fire crackling in the stone hearth. The smell of wood smoke and coffee and the stew Maria had left simmering. The contrast from the frozen hell outside was so stark it made his eyes water. Cal moved without thinking. Coat stripped off, wet dress peeled away with hands that tried to be clinical, tried not to notice the thinness of her arms, the way her ribs showed. Wool blankets wrapped tight. 3 years since Sarah died, and his body still remembered the motions, how to care for someone fading. He laid her on the guest bed. The room was cold. He built up the fire, added more blankets. His hands moved with the efficiency of someone who had done this before. Done it and failed. The girl's eyes opened, unfocused, fever bright. "Nathan," she whispered. Cal froze. The poker in his hand suddenly weighed 1,000 pounds. "Where's Nathan?" His throat closed, his chest tight. He forced words out. "Who are you?" But she was already gone, drifting back under, her breathing evening out into the rhythm of fevered sleep. Cal stood there for a long moment, the poker still in his hand, the name hanging in the air like smoke. Nathan. 5 years dead, drowned in a creek because Cal was in town dealing with a cattle buyer instead of watching his son. 5 years, and no one spoke that name anymore. No one except Cal late at night when the whiskey made him honest enough to admit what he had lost. How did this child know it? Maria appeared in the doorway. She was 55, gray hair pulled back severe, face weathered by years of ranch life. She had worked for the Brennans for 20 years, had been there when Nathan was born, had been there when they pulled his small body from the ice. She saw the child, crossed herself. Dios mío, that is the Pritchard girl. Cal looked up. You know her. Maria moved closer, touched the girl's forehead. Too hot, much too hot. Orphaned last June, living with her uncle since then. She paused. The banker, Vernon Pritchard. The name meant nothing to Cal. He knew of Vernon the way everyone in town knew of Vernon. Respectable, wealthy. The kind of man who sat in the front pew at church and held notes on half the businesses in town. What's she doing out in a blizzard? Maria shook her head. I do not know. But look. She pulled back the blanket slightly. Even in the firelight, the marks were visible. Old bruises on the upper arms, the distinctive pattern of finger marks. Someone had grabbed this child, hard, recently. Cal's jaw tightened. He had seen marks like that before. On men after bar fights, on ranch hands after disagreements settled with fists. Never on a child. Get the thermometer. And tea. Chamomile if we have it. Maria moved quickly. Cal sat back in the chair beside the bed, watching the small chest rise and fall. Shallow breaths. Labored. The thermometer read 103 when he checked. Pneumonia. Maybe worse. The tea came. Maria brought it on a tray with her rosary clicking softly at her waist. She set it down, looked at the child with something like pity. She said something when I was taking off her boots. Cal looked up. What Maria's voice dropped. Said, Papa said you would be warm. The room tilted slightly. Cal gripped the chair arm. Her father knew me, I do not know. Just what she said. Maria left. Cal sat alone with the fevered child and the ghost of a name she should not know. He spooned tea between her lips when she stirred. Most of it dribbled onto the pillow. But some went down. Her eyes opened once, pale blue-gray, the same shade as, no, he would not go there. You look like someone, she murmured. Can't remember who. Then she was gone again, drifting, her breath evening out, and she started to hum, barely audible. A tune that made Cal's spine go cold. His mother's lullaby, the one she had sung to him and Thomas 40 years ago, before she died, before their father turned mean, before everything fell apart. How did this child know it? Cal sat there until the fire burned low. Until Maria brought more wood and rebuilt the flame, until the child's fever dropped to 101, and her color stopped looking like death itself. Around 2 in the morning, still awake, Cal noticed something. The girl's hand was curled around something. He gently opened her fingers. A locket, silver, tarnished with age. He should not have opened it, should have respected her privacy. But the night was long and the questions were eating him alive. Inside was a photograph, badly faded. A man, maybe 35, standing beside a horse. The image was grainy, hard to make out details, but the posture, the set of the shoulders, the way he held himself. Cal knew that stance. He saw it every morning in the mirror. He closed the locket, set it on the bedside table, sat back down. Sometime near dawn he fell asleep in the chair. When he woke, pale blue light filled the room. The child was sitting up, awake, a bowl of oatmeal in her hands that Maria must have brought while he slept. Morning, he said, his voice rough from sleep and the questions he had not asked. She looked at him, wary, spoon halfway to her mouth, taking his measure. You are safe here. She nodded, took another bite. The spoon scraped the bowl's bottom, ceramic on ceramic, a small domestic sound that filled the quiet. What's your name, Lily? Lily what? She hesitated. Pritchard. Lily Mae Pritchard. Cal studied her. 7 years old, maybe 8. Auburn hair that caught the morning light, blue-gray eyes that held too much knowledge for her age. Do you know who I am? Another hesitation. Then, no, sir. Should I? The lie was smooth, too smooth. But Cal let it go, for now. Outside, the storm had stopped. Just wind now, no snow. The morning was bright and cold and deceptively peaceful. Cal stood. "I need to check the kettle. Maria will get you more food if you want it." "We will figure out what to do when I get back." Lily nodded. Set down the empty bowl. "Thank you. For the one night." Cal paused at the door. Something in her phrasing, the formality of it, like she was quoting someone. "You are welcome to stay longer, until you are well." "Okay." He left, closed the door behind him, stood in the hallway breathing. In the kitchen, Maria was making coffee. She looked up when he entered. "The girl, she is awake." "Yes, what will you do?" Cal poured coffee. "Black." "Hot enough to burn?" "I don't know. Take her back to her uncle, I suppose, when the road's clear." Maria was quiet for a moment. Then, "Mr. Brennan, I have worked for you 20 years. I have never questioned you. But that child, she is afraid of me, of something, someone." She paused. "When I was changing her clothes last night, there were more marks, on her back, like belt marks." Cal's hand tightened on the coffee cup. "Vernon?" "Who else?" Maria's voice was hard. "I have seen this before. My cousin, when we were girls in Mexico, her uncle was the same." Cal drank his coffee, thought about the bruises, about the locket, about the name Nathan spoken in fevered delirium. "I will talk to Vernon, find out what is happening." And if he wants her back, Cal did not answer, because he did not have an answer. The week that followed was strange, suspended, like time had stopped and they were all waiting for something to break. Lily recovered quickly. By day 3, her fever was gone. By day 5, she was up and moving around, quiet, watchful, never quite meeting Cal's eyes. She helped Maria in the kitchen, learned to knead bread, to pluck chickens, to mend socks, small domestic tasks that she seemed to already know how to do. At night, Cal heard her through the walls, crying, not loud, just soft, hitching breaths that said she was trying to stay quiet, trying not to be a burden. He did not go to her, did not know what to say, what comfort to offer. Instead, he lay awake in his own room, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the locket, about the photograph inside, about how the man's posture had looked like his own. The town started talking on day 2. Miguel, the head ranch hand, came back from town with supplies and news. The general store was buzzing. Bachelor rancher taking in young girl, no wife, no female relative, just him and his housekeeper. People were asking questions. What kind of questions, Cal asked. Miguel shifted uncomfortably. About propriety, about whether it is appropriate. Cal felt anger flash hot in his chest, then cold, then nothing. The usual progression. Let them talk. But boss? Let them talk, Miguel. By day 7, the whispers had reached the church. Father Sullivan sent a note. Gentle, concerned, suggesting that perhaps arrangements could be made. A family in town, a boarding school in Helena, options that would be more suitable. Cal burned the note in the fireplace, watched the paper curl and blacken. He knew what people were thinking, knew how it looked. Bachelor in his late 30s, 7-year-old girl. The math was ugly, but the alternative was sending her back to a man who left belt marks on a child's back, and that math was uglier. On day 8 at dusk, Cal found Lily in the stables. She was sitting on a hay bale, not doing anything, just sitting, staring at nothing. The light through the barn door was golden, dust motes dancing in the air. The smell of hay and horses and leather, the soft sounds of animals breathing. Cal stood in the doorway, watching her. This small person who had appeared in a blizzard and turned his carefully ordered isolation into chaos. He walked over, sat down on the hay bale beside her. Not too close, leaving space. For a long time, neither of them spoke. 3 minutes, maybe 4. Just the sound of horses shifting, of wind outside, of their own breathing. Then Lily started crying. Not the quiet crying from the nights before, real tears, silent but steady. Cal did not ask why, did not try to stop it, just sat there, present. After a while he put his hand on her shoulder, just rested it there, offering the only comfort he knew how to give. The crying slowed, stopped. Lily wiped her face with her sleeve. "Do you remember me?" she asked. her voice so quiet he almost missed it. Cal went still. "What did you say?" She looked up at him, those blue-gray eyes. "Do you remember when you were little?" The question was different. The words changed, but Cal felt the lie underneath. "I remember some things." "Why, Papa said you would. Papa said you remember everything." Cal's hand dropped from her shoulder. "Who is your papa?" Lily looked away. "He died. Last June. I am sorry." She nodded. Just kept staring at the barn wall. "What was his name?" Silence. Then, "Thomas. Thomas Pritchard." The name hit like a fist. Cal stood up, too fast. The motion startling the horses. "Thomas!" Lily looked up, frightened now. "Did I say something wrong?" "No. No, I just—" Cal forced himself to breathe. To think. Thomas is a common name. Lots of men named Thomas. But he was lying, and she knew it. He could see it in her eyes. "I should go check the fence line. Before dark." He left. Walked out of the barn into the cold evening air. Stood there, breathing hard like he had been running. Thomas. His brother's name. His brother who had left 20 years ago, who had changed his name to escape their father's shadow, who Cal had not spoken to in 15 years, could not be, could not possibly be. But that locket, that photograph, the way this child knew things she should not know. Cal walked to the house, into his study, closed the door, locked it. In the bottom drawer of his desk was a box. He had not opened it in 5 years. Inside were photographs, letters, the detritus of a life before. He found what he was looking for near the bottom. A photograph from 1864, 2 boys, Cal at 17, Thomas at 12, standing in front of the old house, the one that had burned down in 1870. Cal held the photograph up to the lamplight, studied his brother's face, the shape of the jaw, the set of the eyes, the way he stood with his weight on his left foot. Then he pulled out the locket from his pocket, the one he had taken from Lily's things, opened it, compared the 2 images. The man in the locket was older, weathered, but the resemblance was undeniable. His brother, his dead brother who was supposed to have died in a wagon accident last June, who had left a daughter, who had sent that daughter to Cal in a blizzard with a fever and bruises and secrets. Cal sat down hard, the chair creaking under his weight. Why? Why send her here? Why not come himself? Why all the secrets he thought about Vernon Pritchard, about the bruises, about Maria's certainty that Vernon was the cause, unless Vernon was not her uncle at all, unless Vernon was something else, someone else. Cal needed answers, and there was only one place to get them. Day 12 came cold and clear, the kind of Montana winter morning that hurt to breathe, but was so beautiful it made the pain worth it. Marshal Jacob Harding arrived at 9. Cal was in the yard when he heard the horse, turned to see Harding riding up, badge catching the morning light, face apologetic but firm. "Cal, got a warrant." Cal wiped his hands on his jeans, walked over. "What kind of warrant? Welfare check." Harding held up the paper. "County seal, Vernon Pritchard's bank letterhead across the top. Complaint filed 3 days ago, says you are holding a ward unlawfully." Cal took the paper. "Read it." The language was careful, legal, suggesting not accusing, but the implication was clear. Who's the ward? Lily Mae Pritchard, niece of Vernon Pritchard, orphaned last June. Vernon has legal guardianship. Cal folded the paper, put it in his coat pocket. She came here in a blizzard, half dead from fever. I saved her life. Not arguing with you, Cal. Harding's voice was low, steady, but Vernon's filed for a formal guardianship hearing. Judge Wickham arrives in 6 weeks, February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony was not lost on Cal. And until then, Vernon wants the girl returned to his custody. I am here to make sure she is safe. To verify she is here of her own will. Cal stepped aside. Come see for yourself. They found Lily in the kitchen with Maria, learning to make pie crust. Her hands were covered in flour. She looked up when they entered, saw the marshal, went very still. Miss Lily. Harding removed his hat. I need to ask you some questions. Lily looked at Cal. He nodded. Are you here because you want to be? Yes, sir. Has Mr. Brennan hurt you in any way? No, sir. No. Do you want to go back to your Uncle Vernon's house? Lily's hands clenched in the flour. No, sir, Harding wrote in his notebook. Why not? Lily looked down. Because Uncle Vernon gets angry sometimes. Angry how? She did not answer, just stood there, shoulders tight. Harding put away his notebook, looked at Cal. I will include this in my report, but Cal, between us, Vernon's leaned on me before, more than once. He has influence. And the law. He paused. Watch yourself. What's he really after? Cal asked. Harding shrugged. Could be he genuinely wants to protect his niece. Could be something else. But either way, the hearing is set. 6 weeks. February 14th. You need to establish legal standing by then. And if I cannot, then the judge will award custody to Vernon. By law. By right. Harding left, the door closing soft behind him. Cal stood in the kitchen, watching Lily try to reshape the pie dough with shaking hands. Maria touched the girl's shoulder gently. Go wash up, mija. I will finish this. Lily nodded, fled. Cal looked at Maria. 6 weeks. We will figure it out, how I am not family. I have no legal claim. Vernon has paperwork. A judge will rule in his favor. Maria was quiet for a moment. Then, maybe you need to find out why Vernon wants her so badly, and why she is so afraid to go back. Cal thought about the bruises, about the locket, about the name Thomas. I am going to town. Tell Lily I will be back for dinner. Be careful, Mr. Brennan. Cal rode into town under a sky so blue it hurt to look at. The kind of day that mocked worry, that insisted everything was fine when nothing was. Vernon's bank sat on Main Street, red brick. 2 stories, the most impressive building in town next to the courthouse. Cal tied his horse outside, went in. The interior smelled of ink and cigar smoke and money. Behind the marble counter, a clerk counted coins. The sound of it rang thin in the high-ceilinged room. I need to see Vernon Pritchard. Do you have an appointment? No, but he will see me. The clerk hesitated, then disappeared into the back. Came back 2 minutes later. Mr. Pritchard will see you. Vernon's office was large. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, everything in its place. The man himself was 52, well-dressed, clean-shaven, the kind of face that inspired trust. That made you want to deposit your money and believe it would be safe. He stood when Cal entered, extended his hand. Mr. Brennan, good of you to come. Cal ignored the hand, stood his ground. Why did you send the marshal? Vernon lowered his hand, sat back down. Because my niece has been missing for 2 weeks, and I have reason to believe you are keeping her from her legal guardian. She came to me, in a blizzard, nearly dead. I am grateful you saved her life. But that does not give you the right to keep her. She has bruises, old ones, new ones, belt marks on her back. Vernon's face did not change. Lily is a difficult child, willful. Sometimes discipline is necessary. Cal felt rage flash hot. That is not discipline. That is abuse. Vernon stood, walked to the window, looked out at the street below. Mr. Brennan, I understand you have suffered loss. Your son, your wife. I am truly sorry for that. But grief does not qualify you to raise a child who is not yours. She is afraid of you. She is afraid of change, of uncertainty. Children often are. Vernon turned back. I can give her stability, family, a proper home with a woman's care. He paused. What can you give her? Isolation, a ranch full of men, questions about why a bachelor keeps a young girl. Cal's jaw tightened. What do you really want? Vernon returned to his desk, sat down, opened a drawer, pulled out a document. I want what is best for Lily, and I want you to stop interfering. He pushed the document across the desk. This is a formal relinquishment. Sign it. Acknowledge you have no claim. Return Lily to my care, and this whole unpleasant business ends. And if I refuse, then we go before Judge Wickham in 6 weeks, and I assure you the law is on my side. Cal looked at the document, at the blank line waiting for his signature. He thought about Lily in the stable, crying, asking if he remembered her. He thought about the locket, about Thomas, about 20 years of silence and pride. No. Vernon's jaw tightened, just slightly. You are making this harder than it needs to be. Maybe. Cal turned to leave, but I am making it. He stopped at the door when Vernon spoke again. Mr. Brennan, this is not about the girl. Not really. This is about you trying to replace what you lost, but you cannot bring your son back by saving someone else's daughter. Cal turned, looked at Vernon, really looked, and saw something in the man's eyes, something that was not concern for a niece, something calculating. Cold. Why do you really want her back? Vernon's face went carefully blank. She is family. No. Cal stepped closer. Family does not leave belt marks. Family does not make a child so afraid she runs into a blizzard rather than stay home. So I will ask again. Why? Vernon stood. We are done here. Cal left. But the question stayed with him, all the way back to the ranch. All through dinner, all through the evening. What was Vernon hiding day 14? 2 weeks since Lily arrived. Cal was in his study after supper, going through old ranch records, looking for something, anything, some connection he had missed. The ledgers went back 20 years, every transaction, every sale, every loan. He found it on page 47, dated 1878. Thomas Pritchard borrows $500 from Callum Brennan for homestead purchase. Coldwater settlement payable in 5 years. Cal stared at the entry, at his own handwriting from 6 years ago, at the name Thomas Pritchard. His brother had come to him, asked for money, and Cal had given it without question, without asking why Thomas was using a different name, without saying all the things that needed to be said. The loan had never been repaid. Cal had never asked for it, had written it off as the price of pride. But now it meant something else. There was a knock at the door. Come in. Lily entered, hesitant. Can I watch you doing your numbers? Cal looked at her, at the child who knew his brother's lullaby, who had his brother's photograph, who asked questions that cut too close. Ain't much to see, just old business. Papa used to do numbers, before bed. He said they told stories if you knew how to listen. Something in Cal's chest tightened. He pulled out the chair beside him. Sit. She climbed up. Small enough that her feet did not touch the floor, Cal showed her the entries, explained the columns, the careful accounting. Lily leaned close, studying. Then her finger stopped on a line. Why is this different? Cal looked. The 1878 entry, the loan to Thomas Pritchard, that is old business. But Lily was already reading, slow, careful, sounding out the bigger words. Thomas Pritchard borrows $500 from Callum Brennan for homestead purchase. Her fingers stopped. She looked up at him. Who is Thomas Pritchard? The fire popped. Outside wind rattled the shutters. The clock ticked on the mantel. Cal could lie, could deflect, could keep the secret locked tight. But those eyes, blue-gray, his brother's eyes. Did he pay you back? Lily asked. The question hung in the air, innocent, devastating. Cal's throat was dry. He reached to close the ledger, saw something pressed between the pages. A wildflower, dried, brown with age. The kind Sarah used to pick from the high meadow. The kind she pressed in books to remember. He closed the ledger, the leather cover settling with a soft sound. That is old business, little one. Water under the bridge. Lily nodded, but her eyes stayed on the ledger, too smart for her own good. You are teaching me ranch work. Does that mean I am staying? Cal looked at her. 7 years old, auburn hair catching the lamplight, blue-gray eyes that held secrets she was not telling. Do you want to stay? I do not want to go back to Uncle Vernon's. The way she said it, flat, matter of fact, like stating a truth that could not be changed. Cal thought about the bruises, about Vernon's calculating eyes, about the question he kept asking. What do you really want? You are staying until we figure this out. Lily's shoulders relaxed. Just a fraction. Just enough to notice. Can I learn more numbers tomorrow? You can. She slid off the chair, started toward the door, stopped, turned back. Mr. Brennan. Yeah. How did you know Thomas was your brother? Cal froze. The room went very still. Lily's face was pale, frightened, but determined. I did not say. That Thomas was your brother. You knew. How Cal stood, walked over to her, knelt down so they were eye level. How long have you known who I am? Lily's eyes filled with tears. Since Papa told me, before he died. And you did not say anything, Papa said. She swallowed. Papa said to wait. To make sure you were safe, to make sure you would not. She stopped. Would not what send me away? Cal felt something crack open in his chest. This child, his brother's daughter, had been testing him for 2 weeks, watching, waiting, trying to determine if he could be trusted. I am not sending you anywhere. Lily nodded, wiped her eyes. But you need to tell me the truth now, all of it. Why did your father send you to me? What is Vernon really after? What are you afraid of?" Lily looked down, at her hands, at the floor. When she spoke, her voice was so quiet Cal had to strain to hear. "Papa hid something before he died. Something Uncle Vernon wants very badly. Papa said if anyone ever found it to bring it to you, because you would know what to do." What did he hide? The truth. About who killed Mama, about why we had to hide, about everything. "Where is it?" Lily looked up. "In the well, at our old homestead. Papa put it there the night before the wagon accident that killed your father." Lily's face hardened. It was not an accident. Uncle Vernon cut the brake cable. "I heard him tell someone. I heard him say, accidents happen on mountain roads." Cal sat back on his heels, the room tilting. Vernon killed Thomas, his own brother-in-law, for something hidden in a well. "What is it? What could be worth murder?" Lily shook her head. "I do not know. Papa never told me. Just said it was proof that would change everything." Cal stood, walked to the window, looked out at the frozen landscape. Behind him, he heard Lily move, heard her small footsteps cross the room. He turned. She was standing by his desk, looking at something, the photograph, the one Cal had not put away. 2 boys, Cal and Thomas, 1864. Lily picked it up, traced her finger over Thomas's face. "You look like him. Papa always said you did. Said you had the same eyes, the same way of standing." She paused. "He missed you, even after everything. He missed you." Cal's vision blurred. He blinked hard. "I missed him too." Lily set down the photograph, looked at Cal. "Are you going to help me? Get what Papa hid?" Cal thought about Vernon, about the hearing in 6 weeks, about a child asking for help because she had nowhere else to turn. He thought about Thomas, about 20 years of silence, about a loan never repaid and words never said, about how his brother had sent his daughter through a blizzard, had trusted Cal to do what he had not done when Thomas was alive. Be there, be present, be the brother he should have been. "Yes," Cal's voice was rough. "I am going to help you." Lily nodded, walked to the door. "Thank you. For the one night," she paused. "And all the nights after," she left. Cal stood alone with the photograph, with the ledger, with the weight of 20 years pressing down. He opened the ledger again. Found the 1878 entry. Thomas Pritchard borrows $500. Between the pages, the wildflower had fallen out. He picked it up. Brittle, fragile. Sarah had put it there 2 months before she died, before Nathan drowned, before Cal's world fell apart. She had looked at him with fever-bright eyes and said something he had thought was delirium. "You will be a father again. You will know by the wildflowers." He had thought she was talking nonsense. But now he understood. His hands shook. His chest hurt like something was breaking open inside. And for the first time since Sarah's funeral 5 years ago, Callum Brennan cried. Not quiet, not dignified. The kind of crying that came from somewhere deep and unfinished, for his brother, for 20 years of silence. For a 7-year-old girl who had stumbled through a blizzard, not knowing she was coming home. For the son he had lost, and the daughter he had found. He sat there as the candle burned low, as the tears dried salt tracks on his face, as the night pressed against the windows. Tomorrow he would ride to the old Pritchard homestead, would search the well, would find whatever Thomas had hidden. Tomorrow he would start fighting for Lily. For real. For keeps. But tonight he let himself grieve. For everything lost and everything found. Outside the window, the first stars appeared, cold and distant and pitiless. Inside, a man sat with a dried flower and a photograph and the ghost of a brother who had trusted him one last time. And in her room down the hall, a child who knew too many secrets finally slept without crying. The house settled into silence. The fire burned down to embers. And in the darkness, something that had been broken for 20 years began slowly to heal. Dawn came different on day 15. Cal woke before the sun, sat on the edge of his bed in the gray light. The conversation with Lily from the night before, playing over and over in his mind like a broken record. Uncle Vernon cut the brake cable. I heard him say, accidents happen on mountain roads. His brother murdered. And Cal had not known, had not suspected, had let 6 months pass without asking questions. He dressed in the dark, went downstairs, found Lily already in the kitchen with Maria. The girl was helping roll out dough for biscuits, her small hands dusted with flour, her face serious with concentration. She looked up when Cal entered. Their eyes met. An understanding passed between them. No more secrets, no more half-truths. Today they would talk, really talk. After breakfast, Cal took Lily into his study, closed the door. They sat across from each other, the morning light slanting through the window between them. "I need you to tell me everything, from the beginning, everything your father told you about me, about why he sent you here." Lily folded her hands in her lap. The gesture was so adult it hurt to see. "Papa told me about you when I was 5. He said you were his brother, his only family. He said you lived in Montana on a big ranch with cattle and horses and land that went on forever. Did he say why you did not talk anymore?" Lily nodded. "He said there was a fight, a long time ago, about their father, about who got what when he died. Papa said it was stupid, said pride made people stupid. But he never tried to fix it because he was stupid too." Cal felt the words like blows. Stupid. Yes, that was the right word. "What else Papa said?" Lily paused, swallowed. "Papa said you had a son, Nathan. He said Nathan drowned when he was 7. He said it broke you, made you into someone different." Cal's chest tightened. "How did your father know about Nathan Papa wrote to you, after it happened? Wrote 3 letters. You never answered." Cal stood, walked to the window, pressed his forehead against the cold glass. "I never got any letters. Papa thought maybe you burned them, without reading." The accusation hung in the air. Maybe Cal had. Maybe in those first horrible months after Nathan died, he had burned anything that looked like sympathy, anything that reminded him other people existed, other people had opinions about his grief. "When did your father tell you to come to me last summer?" "June, a week before he died." Lily's voice was steady, but Cal could hear the tears underneath. He knew something was wrong. "He gave me this." She reached into her pocket, pulled out a folded piece of paper, worn from being carried, from being touched too many times. Cal took it, unfolded it. His brother's handwriting, shakier than he remembered, but unmistakable. "Lily, if you are reading this, I am gone. Do not trust Vernon, no matter what he says. Go to Cal, my brother. The ranch is 5 miles west of town. Tell him Thomas sent you. Tell him to check the well. Tell him I am sorry." Cal read it 3 times, his brother's last words to his daughter. Brief, desperate. A man who knew he was running out of time. He looked up at Lily. "You have been carrying this for 6 months," she nodded. "Uncle Vernon found me trying to leave twice. The first time he locked me in the cellar for 2 days. The second time he—" She stopped. What Lily pulled up her sleeve, showed her arm, old burn marks, circular, deliberate. Cigar burns, 3 of them, evenly spaced. Cal felt rage wash through him, white-hot, blinding. He forced it down, forced his hands to unclench. "Why did it take you 6 months to get here? I had to wait. Uncle Vernon watched me all the time, but then he had to go to Helena for a week. Bank business. I took money from his desk, bought a train ticket to the next town over. Then I walked." She paused. "I got lost. It was supposed to take 2 days. It took 6. Then the storm came, and I was so cold, and I saw your gate, and I just hoped." Cal knelt in front of her, took her small hands in his. "You are safe now, I promise you. No one is taking you back to Vernon. But what about the hearing? What about the judge? We will figure it out. But first we need to get what your father hid, the proof he mentioned." Lily's eyes widened. "You believe me. I believe you." "When do we go?" Cal stood. "Tomorrow, at first light. The homestead is a 4-hour ride. We go, we get the proof, we come back. What if Uncle Vernon finds out?" "He will not." Cal's voice was hard. "And even if he does, it will not matter. Whatever is in that well, it ends this." Lily nodded. Then quietly, "Thank you." "For what?" "For not thinking I am crazy. For believing Papa. For—" She stopped. "For staying." Cal felt something crack in his chest. This child, 7 years old, thanking him for basic decency. "I am not going anywhere." Day 16 passed in preparation. Cal told Miguel they were riding out to check fence lines on the far pasture, told Maria to pack food for 2 days, told no one the truth. That night Cal could not sleep. Lay in bed thinking about Thomas, about the loan in the ledger, about how his brother had come to him 6 years ago asking for money, and Cal had given it without asking questions. Had not asked because asking meant talking. Talking meant confronting 20 years of silence. Easier to just write a check, easier to pretend the money could speak for all the words they could not say. Around midnight, Cal got up, went to his study, pulled out the box of old photographs again, found one from 1864, their mother's funeral. 2 boys in ill-fitting suits, Cal 17, Thomas 12. Standing on either side of their father, a hard man. Mean eyes, fists that spoke louder than words. Cal traced his finger over his brother's face, tried to remember what Thomas had been like before their father broke something in all of them, before the old man died and left everything to Cal, before Thomas left in the night with nothing but and a new name. Had Thomas been happy? Had he found peace, Cal would never know, would never get to ask. All he had was this, a frightened child, a hidden truth, and 6 weeks until a judge decided if love mattered more than law. Day 17, 4 in the morning, still dark. Cal and Lily rode out under stars so bright they hurt to look at. The air was cold enough to freeze breath. The horses' hooves crunched through snow that had refrozen overnight. They rode in silence. Lily bundled in one of Cal's old coats, too big, sleeves rolled up 3 times, but warm. The homestead appeared with the dawn. What was left of it, burned timbers, scorched earth, the apple orchard like black grave markers against pink sky. Only one thing stood intact, the stone well. Cal dismounted, helped Lily down. They stood looking at the ruins of what had been her home. "I am sorry for your loss." Lily did not answer, just walked toward the well. Cal followed. The well was old, built when Montana was still wild territory, stone walls thick enough to survive fire. Iron gate rusted but solid. Cal pulled the gate open, peered down, 20 feet to water, maybe more. Dark, cold, the kind of darkness that swallowed light. He tied rope to his saddle, checked the knot twice. "Stay here. If I call up, you run. Get Miguel. Understand?" Lily nodded, but her face was pale. Cal lowered himself into the well, hand under hand. Boots scraping stone. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. Down here, the world was ice and darkness and the smell of old water. He reached the bottom, water to his knees, freezing. His breath came out white. Cal pulled out the lantern he had brought. Struck a match. Light bloomed, threw shadows on circular walls. He searched, felt along the stones, looking for loose ones, for hiding places. There. 3 stones down from the waterline. One was different, newer. The mortar around it fresh. Cal pulled his knife, worked it into the gaps. The stone came free after 5 minutes of prying. Behind it, a metal box, waterproof, sealed with wax. He grabbed it, called up. Got it. Lily's small face appeared over the edge, silhouetted against blue sky. Cal climbed back up, emerged into daylight, cold and soaked and shaking, but holding the box. They opened it there. In the ruins of Lily's old home, by the well where her father had hidden his last secret. Inside, papers wrapped in oilcloth, photographs, a letter, and pressed between the pages, dried wildflowers. The same kind Sarah used to pick, the same kind Lily had picked without knowing why. Cal's hands shook as he unfolded the letter, Thomas's handwriting, dated June 1st, 1884, 1 week before he died. "Cal, if you are reading this, I am dead. I need you to know the truth, all of it, even the parts that will hurt." Cal read on, the words blurring, his breath coming harder. The letter told everything. How Thomas had witnessed a murder in 1877. How the killer was part of a mining operation run by powerful men. How Thomas had tried to go to the law. How the law was corrupted. How he had run instead. Changed his name, hidden his family. How Vernon Pritchard was not his brother-in-law, but a business partner of the mining syndicate. How Vernon had been tasked with keeping Thomas quiet. How the wagon accident was no accident, but there was more. I need to tell you about Sarah, about Nathan, about the lie that kept your son alive. Cal stopped reading. The world tilted. Lily was watching him. Mr. Brennan, are you okay? Cal could not answer, could only read. Sarah came to me 5 years ago, pregnant with twins, terrified. She said you were becoming someone she did not recognize, someone angry, someone like your father. She begged me to help her leave, to take one of the babies, to raise him somewhere you would never find him. I said no at first. You are my brother. But then I saw the bruises on her arms. Not from you, she said. From falling. From being clumsy. But I knew. I had seen our mother say the same thing, so I helped her, took Nathan after she gave birth, raised him as mine. Told you he drowned. Let you grieve a child who was alive. I am sorry, Cal, but I was protecting him from what we both became, from what our father made us. Nathan is 12 now, smart, kind. Nothing like us. He asks about you sometimes, about his real father. I tell him you were a good man who lost his way. Maybe that is true. Maybe you found it again. I do not know. But if Lily came to you, if you helped her, then maybe I was wrong. Maybe you are still the brother I remember. The one who protected me when father got mean, the one who took the beatings meant for me. If you are that brother, then come find us. British Columbia, town called Whitefish. We will be there until the snow comes. Bring Lily if you can. She deserves to know her cousin. Nathan deserves to know his sister. I am sorry for the lies, sorry for the silence, sorry I did not trust you. But mostly, I am sorry I did not tell you this. You were a good brother, and I loved you, even when I could not say it. Thomas. Cal finished reading, sat very still, the paper trembling in his hands. Nathan. Alive. 12 years old. Living in Canada with the brother Cal had not spoken to in 20 years. Sarah. Dead. But not in childbirth. Later. Somewhere else. From something the letter did not explain. And Cal. Grieving a son who was not dead. Living a lie he had not known was a lie. He looked at Lily. She was crying, silent tears running down her small face. You knew. She shook her head. I knew Papa had a son. I did not know. I did not know it was Nathan. Cal stood, walked away from the well, toward the burned orchard, stood among the blackened trees and tried to breathe. Behind him he heard Lily's footsteps, small, hesitant. Mr. Brennan, I am sorry, it is not your fault, but if I had come sooner, if I had told you. Cal turned, knelt down, took her shoulders gently. Listen to me. None of this is your fault. Your father did what he thought was right. My wife did what she thought was necessary, and he stopped. I gave them reason to be afraid. You are not a bad person. No. But I was angry, for a long time. After my own father died, after I inherited everything, and Thomas got nothing. I told myself it was not my fault, that our father made those choices. But I never fought for Thomas, never said it was wrong. Just took what I was given and let my brother leave. Cal's voice cracked. And then Nathan came. And I loved him so much, it terrified me. Loved him and was terrified I would mess it up, would hurt him the way our father hurt us. So I tried to be perfect, tried to control everything. And when I could not, when things went wrong, I got angry. Never at Nathan, Cal added quickly. Never hurt him. But Sarah saw it, saw me getting close to that edge, and she was right to be afraid. Lily wiped her eyes. Papa said you were working on it, in the letters he sent. He said you were trying to be better. What letters? The ones you never answered. Lily pulled more papers from the box, showed Cal. 3 letters, postmarked 1879, 1880, 1881, all addressed to Callum Brennan, all unopened, all returned. Cal stared at them. I never got these. Someone did not want you to. Lily's voice was small. Someone made sure you stayed apart. Vernon. Cal said the name like a curse. They rode back to the ranch in silence, the metal box secured in Cal's saddlebag. The truth inside it heavier than gold. By the time they arrived it was late afternoon, the sun already setting. Winter days too short for the work that needed doing. Miguel met them in the yard, his face worried. Boss, you got a visitor? Been waiting 3 hours. Who woman? Would not give her name, just said she knew your wife. Cal's gut tightened. He dismounted, handed the reins to Miguel. Where is she in the house? Maria gave her coffee. Cal walked to the house, Lily following. They entered through the kitchen. Maria was at the stove. She turned when they came in, her face strange. She is in the front room. Maria's voice was quiet. Be careful, Mr. Brennan, that woman. She knows things. Cal walked through, into the front room where the fire was burning and the evening light was fading. A woman sat in the chair by the window, 35, maybe 40, dark hair streaked with gray, dressed in black like mourning, like grief made permanent. She stood when Cal entered. Her eyes found his face, held. Callum Brennan. It was not a question. She knew who he was. Who are you, Anna? Anna Blackwood. I was Anna Carson before I married. The name meant nothing. Cal shook his head. The woman smiled. Sad. Carson was my married name. Before that I was Anna Winters. Still nothing. Before that. Anna's voice dropped. I was Sarah's sister. The room went very still. Cal stared at this woman, searching for resemblance, finding it in the eyes, in the shape of the mouth. Sarah had talked about a sister once, back east. They had been estranged, some family argument Sarah never explained. Sarah is dead, I know. Anna sat back down. I got the telegram 5 years ago. I came as fast as I could. But by the time I arrived, you had already left town, sold the house, disappeared. What do you want? Anna looked at Lily, standing in the doorway, then back at Cal. I want to tell you the truth about your wife, about why she left, about what she was running from. She died in childbirth. There is nothing more to tell. Anna shook her head. No, she did not. Sarah did not die in childbirth, Cal. She lived. She took both babies and ran. Lived in Oregon for 2 years before consumption took her. She died in 1881, 3 years ago now. Cal felt the ground shift. 2 years. Sarah had lived 2 more years. Somewhere he could not find her. Why are you telling me this? Because, Anna reached into her bag, pulled out a bundle of letters, because she wrote to me. Every month. Told me everything. And in her last letter, she paused. She told me about Nathan. Cal's hands clenched. What about him? That he was alive, that your brother was raising him, that she had given him away to keep him safe from you. Anna's voice was gentle, but the words cut like knives. Safe from me, Cal repeated. I never hurt my son. No, but Sarah thought you might, eventually. She saw your father in you, Cal. Saw the anger, the control, the way you could not let things go. She was terrified you would become him. I am not my father, I know. Anna leaned forward. Sarah knew too, eventually. That is why she wrote in her last letter that she had made a mistake, that taking Nathan was wrong. But by then she was dying. Could not come back. Could not fix it. Cal sat down hard. The weight too much. Why are you here now? After 5 years, Anna pulled out another paper. A photograph, recent, the edges still crisp. Because 3 months ago I got this, from your brother. She handed it to Cal. The image was clear, sharp. Thomas, older, weathered, but unmistakably his brother. Standing beside a woman Cal did not recognize. And between them, a boy, 12 years old, dark hair, blue eyes. Nathan's eyes. Cal's vision blurred. He blinked hard, forced himself to see. The boy was smiling, happy, healthy, alive, on the back. Thomas's handwriting. Nathan is safe. Do not come looking. Cal turned the photograph over. Read it again. Do not come looking. His brother, keeping Nathan from him, even now, even after death. Why did Thomas send this to you? Anna's face was sad. Because Sarah asked him to, in case something happened to him. He was supposed to send it to me. Let me know Nathan was okay. Let me decide whether to tell you. And you decided yes. Anna nodded. Because Vernon Pritchard came to me 2 weeks ago, looking for Lily, looking for anything connected to Thomas. He offered me money, threatened me when I said no. She paused. That man is dangerous, Cal, and whatever he wants. It is not just about guardianship. Cal looked at the photograph again, at his son's face. 5 years lost. 5 years of grief for a child who was alive. Rage built in his chest, hot, choking, the old familiar feeling, the one Sarah had feared. He stood, walked to the fireplace, gripped the mantel, forced himself to breathe. Behind him, Anna spoke softly. "Sarah was wrong about you, Cal. I see that now. You are angry. But you are not him. You are not your father. How do you know? Because your father would have thrown me out, would have raged, would have broken things." Anna paused. "You are just standing there, trying to control it, trying to be better." Cal laughed. "Bitter. Trying. Yes, always trying, never succeeding." "That is what makes you different. The trying." Cal turned, looked at this woman, his dead wife's sister, bearer of truths he did not want. "Where is Thomas now?" "Really?" Anna hesitated. "Then, I do not know. The photograph came from British Columbia, but there was no return address, just the image, the message, nothing more. So my brother is alive, somewhere, with my son, and I have no way to find them." Anna stood, walked over, put a hand on his arm. "Vernon knows where they are." "How do you know?" "Because he asked me if I knew about Whitefish, asked if Sarah ever mentioned it." Cal's head snapped up. "Whitefish, small town in British Columbia, near the border." Anna's voice was careful. "Sarah mentioned it once, said Thomas was thinking of settling there." Cal pulled away, walked to the window, looked out at the darkening sky. "Vernon knows where my son is. Vernon who killed my brother. Vernon who wants Lily for some reason I do not understand. The pieces were there, but they did not fit, not yet." Behind him, Lily spoke for the first time. "The mine." Cal turned. "What, in Papa's letter? He said Vernon was part of a mining syndicate." "What if?" Lily's eyes widened. "What if the mine is near Whitefish?" Anna inhaled sharply. "That would explain it. If Thomas witnessed something there, if he has evidence, Vernon would need to find him, to silence him. And Lily," Cal said slowly, "is leverage. If Thomas is alive and hiding, threatening his daughter would bring him out." They all stood in silence, the truth settling. Ugly, brutal, simple. Vernon was using Lily as bait, to draw Thomas into the open, to finish what the wagon accident had failed to do. Anna broke the silence. "What are you going to do?" Cal looked at the photograph of Nathan. "At the boy who should have been here, should have grown up knowing his father. I am going to keep Lily safe. I am going to stop Vernon. And then," he paused, "then I am going to find my son." The next days blurred together. Cal barely slept. Spent hours going through the documents from the well, building a case, building evidence. The papers told a story. A mining operation in British Columbia. Illegal, dangerous, run by men who did not care about safety, about lives, about anything except profit. Thomas had worked there briefly in 1877, had seen a man die, had seen the foreman cover it up, had tried to report it, had become a target instead. The foreman's name was in the documents, Jacob Harding. Cal stared at that name, felt ice run down his spine. Marshal Jacob Harding, the same man who had come to his ranch with a warrant, the same man Vernon had sent. The corruption went deeper than Cal had thought. On day 21 a message came, delivered by a boy from town, no name, just a note. "Meet me at the old sawmill. Tonight, midnight, come alone. We need to talk. V." Cal almost did not go, almost burned the note and stayed home. But he needed answers, needed to hear Vernon say it, needed to know why. He rode out at 11:30. The sawmill was 3 miles east, abandoned for a decade, just rotting wood and rusted equipment and ghosts. Vernon was waiting when Cal arrived, standing in the moonlight. No guards, no weapons visible, just a man in an expensive coat looking tired. "Thank you for coming." Cal dismounted. "What do you want?" Vernon walked closer, stopped 10 feet away. "I want to make a deal. No deals. Hear me out, please." Cal waited, silent. Vernon glanced back toward the darkness. "I have men watching the ranch, Cal. Not to hurt anyone. To protect." He paused. "I know Anna Blackwood came 3 days ago. Know she stayed 2 hours. Know she brought you something that made you ride to the old homestead the next morning. You have been spying on me. I have been keeping track of everyone connected to Thomas." Vernon's voice was tired. "Harding has eyes everywhere. I needed to stay ahead of him. Vernon took a breath. Thomas is alive. You know that by now. Anna would have told you. Where is he safe? For now. But Harding is looking for him, and Harding has resources I cannot match. You work for Harding. Vernon laughed, bitter. No, I owe Harding $5,000, money I borrowed to cover bad investments, money he will forgive if I deliver Thomas. And you are using Lily to do it. Vernon's face hardened. I am keeping Lily alive. Do you understand Thomas has evidence that would destroy Harding? Documents, photographs, testimony. If Harding finds him, he will kill him, and anyone connected to him, including Lily, especially Lily. Vernon stepped closer. I am a bastard, Cal. I know what I am. I embezzled from orphans. I hurt that little girl. I did terrible things. Then why? Because Thomas asked me to. Vernon's voice cracked. He came to me 7 years ago, told me everything, asked me to protect his daughter if anything happened to him. I said yes. So you abused her, burned her, locked her in cellars. Vernon's hands shook. I made her hard, made her careful, made her someone who could survive if I failed. He looked at Cal. You think I enjoyed it? You think I slept well? I think you are a monster. Yes, Vernon nodded, but a monster who kept his word. Lily is alive. Thomas is alive. And if you give her back to me, if you let me keep her hidden, they stay that way. And if I refuse, then Harding will find out she is here, will come for her. We'll use her to draw Thomas out, and they will both die. Cal stared at this man, trying to read truth from lies. How do I know you are not working with Harding? You do not. Vernon pulled out a piece of paper, handed it to Cal. But here is the deed to my house, the bank accounts, everything I own. If I betray you, if Lily gets hurt, it all goes to her. Cal looked at the deed. Legal? Notarized? Real? Why would you do this? Vernon's voice was quiet. Because I made a promise. To a man who was the closest thing I had to a brother. And I keep my promises, even when they cost me everything. Cal folded the deed, put it in his pocket. I need time to think. You have 4 weeks until the hearing. After that. Vernon shrugged. After that, it is out of my hands. The judge decides. And Harding will make sure the judge decides right. Cal mounted his horse, looked down at Vernon. One question. Why did you really embezzle from those families? Vernon met his eyes. To pay Harding. To buy time. To keep him from looking too hard at Thomas's death. To keep Lily safe. He paused. Every dollar I stole went to keeping your brother's daughter alive. Cal rode away, left Vernon standing in the moonlight. A monster. A guardian. Both. Neither. The truth was never simple. Back at the ranch, Cal found Father Sullivan waiting. The priest looked grave. I did some digging, like you asked. About Harding, about the mining operation. What did you find? Sullivan handed over papers. Church records, death certificates, accident reports, 12 men dead in 3 years, all at the same mine, all ruled accidents, all buried without investigation. Cal read through them, saw the pattern, the cover-up. Harding runs this. Harding is the mine foreman, but the owner. Sullivan paused. The owner is listed as a shell company, but I found the real name buried in territorial records. Who? Judge Marcus Wickham. Cal's blood went cold. The judge who would decide Lily's custody, the judge who was supposed to be impartial, was the owner of the mine Thomas was testifying against. The hearing is rigged. Sullivan nodded. Has been from the start. Vernon probably knows, probably why he is so certain you will lose. Cal stood, paced, thought. Can we prove this? Can we show the judge is compromised, not in 4 weeks, not without getting people killed? Sullivan's face was grim. These are powerful men, Cal. They have been doing this for years. One rancher with a borrowed daughter is not going to stop them. Cal stopped pacing, looked at the priest. Then I need to do something they do not expect. What? Cal walked to his desk, pulled out paper, started writing. I need you to send a telegram to British Columbia, to Whitefish. Address it to Thomas Brennan. What will you say? Cal finished writing, handed it to Sullivan. The priest read it. His eyes widened. This is... He stopped. This is dangerous, I know. They will come for you. I know. Cal's voice was steady. But I am done hiding, done letting fear make choices. If Thomas is alive, If my son is alive, then they deserve to know someone is fighting for them. Sullivan folded the telegram. Put it in his pocket. I will send it tonight. God be with you, Cal. After he left, Cal sat alone in the study, staring at the fire. Tomorrow, he would tell Lily the truth, about Nathan, about Sarah, about all of it. Tomorrow they would start preparing for a fight he could not win, against men he could not beat. For a child who was not his blood but was becoming his heart. Tomorrow. But tonight. Tonight he allowed himself to hope, to believe that somewhere in Canada his brother was reading a telegram, learning that someone still cared, that family, real family, did not give up. The fire burned low, the night pressed close, and in her room Lily slept, dreaming of fathers both lost and found, of uncles who protected and uncles who hurt, of a future that was still being written. Day 26. Cal woke to find Lily already in the kitchen. She had made coffee, badly, but the effort mattered. They sat together in the pre-dawn darkness. Words felt unnecessary. Just presence was enough. Finally Cal spoke. I need to tell you something. About Nathan. Lily looked up. Papa's son. My son, Cal corrected. He is alive, Lily. Living in Canada with your father. Lily's eyes widened. But you said he drowned. I thought he did, but it was a lie. To protect him. From me. From you. Cal nodded. Your Aunt Sarah, my wife. She thought I was becoming dangerous, like my father, so she gave Nathan to Thomas, told me he died. Lily was quiet. Then, were you dangerous? Cal looked at this child, these eyes that saw too much. I do not know. I was angry, controlled, harsh, but I never hit Nathan, never hurt him. He paused, but Sarah saw the potential, saw what I could become, and she was right to be afraid. Papa said you were good. Cal smiled. Sad. Your papa forgave easily. Too easily, maybe. Lily reached across the table, put her small hand on his. Do you want to see Nathan again, more than anything? Then we will find him. After the hearing, after we beat Uncle Vernon, we will go to Canada and find them. Cal looked at her hand on his. So small, so fierce. Are you afraid of the hearing? Lily nodded. But I am more afraid of going back, of Uncle Vernon, of not knowing if you will come for me. Cal turned his hand over, squeezed hers gently. I will always come for you. Always. They sat like that as the sun rose, as the light filled the kitchen, as Maria came in and saw them and quietly left them alone. Two people, not related by blood, connected by choice, by loss, by the slowly growing belief that family was something you built, not something you were born into. Outside the window the world was white and cold and waiting. Inside, for the first time in years. Cal Brennan felt something that might have been hope. Day 29 came with false spring. The temperature rose above freezing for the first time in weeks. Snow melted from the roof, water dripped steady from the eaves, the sound of it like a clock counting down. 16 days until the hearing. Cal stood at his bedroom window watching the dawn. Had not slept. Could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes he saw the photograph. Nathan at 12, alive, smiling, a stranger wearing his son's face. Behind him on the bed lay the letter from Thomas. He had read it 20 times, memorized every word, every accusation. Sarah thought you were becoming someone she did not recognize, someone angry, someone like your father. The words cut deeper each time, because they were true, not entirely, not completely, but true enough. Cal had been angry after their father died, angry at inheriting everything, angry at Thomas for leaving instead of fighting, angry at the world for not being fair. And when Nathan came, when Cal held his newborn son, the anger had transformed into something else, fear, paralyzing fear that he would fail, that he would damage this perfect thing, that his father's poison lived in his blood and would leak out despite his best intentions. So he had controlled, planned, demanded perfection from himself, from Sarah, from the world around his son. He never raised a hand, never struck, but his words could freeze. His silences could wound. Emotional violence that left no visible marks, but cut deeper than fists ever could. Sarah had seen it, had tried to talk to him, had begged him to get help, to talk to Father Sullivan, to admit he was struggling. Cal had refused, insisted he was fine, that she was overreacting, that their life was perfect if she would just stop questioning everything. And then the twins came, Sarah pregnant again, terrified again, of what another child would do to Cal's fragile control. She had not told him it was twins, had hidden that fact, had made arrangements with Thomas, had planned her escape. And Cal, lost in his own world, his own fear, had not noticed until it was too late. The day Nathan drowned, the day that was not real, the day Sarah had staged with Thomas's help, Cal had been in town, meeting with a cattle buyer, choosing business over family for the 100th time. He had come home to chaos, to Sarah screaming, to neighbors searching the creek, to the small body they pulled from the ice that was not Nathan. That was a doll wrapped in Nathan's clothes. Cal had believed it, had grieved it, had never questioned because questioning meant admitting he had not been there, had not protected his son. Sarah had left that night, taken both babies, given one to Thomas, kept one herself, disappeared into Oregon while Cal buried an empty coffin and destroyed himself with guilt. 5 years. 5 years of grief for a lie. Cal pressed his forehead against the cold window, his breath fogging the glass. Who was he angry at Sarah for lying Thomas, for helping himself, for giving them reason to run? All of it. None of it. Anger without direction was just poison. There was a knock at the door. "Come in." Maria entered, carrying coffee, her face troubled. "You did not come to breakfast. Not hungry." "Mr. Brennan." She set down the coffee, sat in the chair by his bed. "May I speak plainly always?" Maria folded her hands. "I worked for your father before you. Did you know that Cal turned?" "No, I did not. Just for 6 months. Before your mother died." She paused. "He was a cruel man, vicious when he drank. Your mother bore the marks." Cal felt his chest tighten. "I know. What you do not know," Maria continued, "is that you are nothing like him. How can you be sure he? Because I have seen both. Your father enjoyed the cruelty, smiled when others hurt. You," Maria's voice was firm, "you punish yourself, tear yourself apart. That is not the same thing. It could become the same thing. That is what Sarah feared, perhaps. But it has been 5 years, 5 years of isolation, of grief, of every reason to become bitter and mean." Maria looked at him. "And yet when Lily came, when you could have turned her away, sent her to freeze, you brought her in, cared for her, chose her. Anyone would have done that?" "No." Maria stood. "Many would not. Many would have seen only trouble, only risk. You saw a child who needed help. That is not your father, that is you." She left, the coffee growing cold on the table. Cal stood alone with his thoughts, with the letter from Thomas, with the photograph of Nathan, with the growing certainty that he was standing at a crossroads. One path led to the past, to searching for Nathan, to trying to reclaim what was lost. The other led to the present, to Lily, to the hearing in 16 days, to choosing the child in front of him over the ghost of the one taken. He could not do both, not yet, maybe not ever. The choice was coming, and Cal had no idea which path to take. Days 30 and 31 passed in a blur of preparation. Father Sullivan returned from Helena with a lawyer, young man named David Morrison, fresh from law school, hungry for justice in a way that made Cal both hopeful and worried. They reviewed the evidence, the documents from the well, Hannah Blackwood's testimony about Sarah's letters, Rosa Chen's sworn statement about the bruises, Doc Moss's medical records. It was enough to prove abuse. Maybe, but not enough to overcome Vernon's legal standing, not enough to fight a corrupt judge. We need more. Morrison tapped his pencil against the table. We need something that makes Vernon look so bad the judge cannot rule in his favor without exposing his own bias. Cal thought about the meeting at the sawmill, about Vernon's confession, about the deed signed over as insurance. What if Vernon testifies against himself? Morrison looked up. What if he admits to the embezzlement, to the abuse, to everything, in open court? Why would he do that? Because, Cal pulled out the deed Vernon had given him, because he wants Lily safe more than he wants his reputation. Morrison read the deed, his eyes widening. He stopped. This could work. If Vernon confesses, if he explains why he did it, the judge would have to at least consider it. And if the judge is as corrupt as we think, Then we lose anyway. Morrison set down the deed. But at least we go down fighting. Cal nodded. Sent word to Vernon through a boy from town. A simple message. Testify. Tell the truth, all of it, or I burn the deed and you get nothing. The response came 2 hours later. I will see you in court. The days until the hearing crawled. Cal worked the ranch, taught Lily to ride better, to rope, to read the sky for weather. They did not talk about the hearing, did not discuss what would happen if they lost. Instead, they lived, moment to moment, finding small joys in morning coffee and evening fires and the simple fact of being together. On the night before the hearing, Cal found Lily in the stable. She was sitting with the horses, her favorite mare. Just sitting, not crying, not speaking, just being. Cal sat down beside her. The hay prickled through his jeans, the smell of horses and leather comforting in its familiarity. They sat without speaking. Minutes passed. The sky darkened from orange to purple to deep blue. Neither felt the need to fill the quiet. Finally, Lily spoke. Do you ever wish I had not come? Cal looked at her, really looked. 7 years old, too thin still but getting healthier, eyes that held too much knowledge but also growing hope. Never, not once. Even though it is hard, even though you might lose, especially because of that. Cal paused, choosing words carefully. Before you came, I was. He struggled. I was existing, going through motions, waiting to die without admitting that is what I was doing. And now? Now I am living, scared, angry sometimes, confused often, but living. Lily leaned against his shoulder, small weight, trusting. If we lose tomorrow, if I have to go back, promise me something, anything. Promise you will not stop living. Promise you will go find Nathan. Build a family, be happy. Cal's throat closed. He pulled her closer. I promise. But we are not losing. Not if I have anything to say about it. Outside the stable, the night was clear. Stars bright enough to cast shadows. The kind of Montana night that made you believe in something bigger than yourself. Tomorrow would come. The hearing would happen. The judge would decide. But tonight they had this, each other, the quiet, the hope that maybe, just maybe, love would be enough. February 14th, Valentine's Day. The irony sharp as broken glass. The courthouse packed by 7 in the morning. 80 people crammed into a space meant for 40. Standing room only. The whole town come to witness. Cal arrived at 8. Lily beside him in a dress Rosa Chen had sewn. Simple, blue, dignified. The girl walked with her head high, shoulders back, trying to be brave. They took their seats at the defendant's table. Morrison shuffled papers. Nervous energy barely contained. Across the aisle, Vernon sat alone. No lawyer, no support. Just a man in an expensive suit looking tired, looking old. Their eyes met. Vernon nodded once, slight, an acknowledgement of what was coming. At 8:30, Judge Marcus Wickham entered, 70 years old, territorial judge for 3 decades, face like carved wood, eyes that gave nothing away. But Cal knew this man owned the mine, knew this man wanted Thomas dead, knew this hearing was theater designed to reach a predetermined conclusion. All rise. They stood. The judge sat. The room settled into tense silence. We are here on the matter of guardianship. Lily Mae Pritchard, minor child. Judge Wickham's voice carried without effort. Mr. Pritchard, you are the petitioner. Make your case. Vernon stood. No papers, no notes. Just a man about to destroy himself for a promise, Your Honor. I withdraw my petition for guardianship. The courtroom erupted. Voices raised. Confusion spreading like fire. Wickham's gavel came down, hard, 3 times. Order, silence. The room fell quiet, waiting. Mr. Pritchard, you are withdrawing? Yes, Your Honor. Furthermore, Vernon's voice was steady. I wish to make a full confession to crimes I have committed, to abuses I have perpetrated, to everything I have done in the name of protecting a child I failed. The judge leaned forward. This is highly irregular. This is necessary. Vernon looked at Lily, at Cal. Back to the judge. I have embezzled funds from 6 orphaned estates over 8 years. Total amount, $4,200. I have documentation. Proof. All of it. He handed papers to the bailiff, who carried them to the judge. Wickham read, his face darkening. Furthermore, Vernon continued. I have physically abused my niece, Lily Pritchard. Belt marks, cigar burns, prolonged isolation. All in an attempt to— He stopped. To make her strong enough to survive what was coming. What was coming? The judge's voice was cold. Vernon turned to face the courtroom, to face Marshal Jacob Harding, sitting in the back row, badge gleaming, face carefully blank. 12 men have died in the last 3 years at the Whitefish Mine in British Columbia, all ruled accidents, all covered up by the mine foreman, Jacob Harding. Harding stood. Your Honor, this is absurd. I have never— Sit down, Marshal. Wickham's gavel cracked. Mr. Pritchard, you are making serious accusations. I am telling the truth. Morrison stood. Your Honor, we have corroborating evidence. He opened his satchel, pulled out the documents from Thomas's box. These are death certificates from the Whitefish Mine. 12 men, all ruled accidental, all signed by Jacob Harding as witness. He handed them to the bailiff. Furthermore, Morrison continued, we have photographs, eyewitness testimony recorded by Thomas Brennan before his death, and financial records showing payments from a shell company owned by— He paused. By this court. The courtroom exploded. Wickham's gavel came down hard. Vernon pulled out more papers from his own coat. Thomas Brennan, formerly Thomas Pritchard, my brother-in-law, witnessed a murder at that mine in 1877. The foreman, Jacob Harding, killed a worker who threatened to report safety violations. Thomas tried to go to the law. The law was already bought. More murmurs. Harding's face gone pale. Thomas went into hiding, changed his name, started over, but Harding found him last June. Vernon's voice cracked. Cut the brake cable on his wagon, made it look like an accident, Your Honor. Harding stood again. This is slander. I demand. I said, sit down. Wickham's voice was thunder. Harding sat, trapped. Knowing where this was going, Vernon continued, I was tasked with finding Thomas's daughter. Using her as leverage to draw him out, I took custody. I hurt her. I did terrible things. He looked at Lily. Because I thought if I made her hard, made her cruel, she would survive when I could not protect her anymore. Tears ran down Vernon's face, unashamed, raw. But I was wrong. She did not need to be hard. She needed to be safe. And the only person who could keep her safe. Vernon turned to Cal. Was her uncle Callum, a man I have wronged, a man whose brother I failed to save. The courtroom was silent, every eye on Vernon. I am guilty of embezzlement, of fraud, of child abuse. I deserve prison. I deserve worse. Vernon's voice was barely a whisper. But that child deserves family, real family. Someone who chooses her not out of obligation or fear, but out of love. He sat down, broken, finished. Judge Wickham was silent for a long moment, reading the documents, his face unreadable. Then he looked up, at Harding, at Vernon, at Cal and Lily. Marshal Harding. Approach the bench. Harding did not move. Now Marshal. Harding stood, walked forward, each step weighted. When he reached the bench, Wickham spoke quietly, but in the silence of the courtroom every word carried. How much of this is true? Harding's jaw worked. None of it. Vernon Pritchard is a liar and a thief. Then you will not mind if I order an investigation into the Whitefish Mine, into the accident reports, into your financial records. Harding went very still. I thought not. Wickham gestured to the bailiff. Take him into custody. Charges pending investigation. Your Honor, you cannot. Harding started. I can and I am. The gavel came down. Bailiff? 2 men moved forward, grabbed Harding's arms. He struggled, fought, knocked one man down. Then Cal was there, moving fast, grabbing Harding, slamming him against the wall. You killed my brother. Harding smiled. Vicious. Cannot prove it. Maybe not. Cal's voice was ice. But you just tried to assault an officer. That I can prove. He stepped back. Let the bailiffs take Harding. Watched as they dragged him from the courtroom. The man's protests fading as the doors closed. Cal returned to his seat, his hands shaking. The old anger there, but controlled, channeled. Used for something other than destruction. Judge Wickham waited until order was restored, then looked at Morrison. Mr. Morrison, your client wishes to adopt Lily Mae Pritchard. We do, Your Honor, but— Morrison stood. But we have discovered that Lily's father may still be alive. living in British Columbia. If that is the case, then guardianship should go to the biological parent. Wickham nodded. Do you have proof of this? Morrison handed over Thomas's letter. The judge read it, his face softening slightly. This claims Thomas Brennan is alive, claims he sent his daughter to his brother for protection. He looked at Lily. Miss Pritchard, do you believe your father is alive? Lily stood, small, brave. I do not know, sir. I hope he is. But even if he is, she looked at Cal. I want to stay with Uncle Cal. Why? Because he chose me when he did not have to, when it was dangerous and hard, and everyone told him not to. Lily's voice was steady. Papa told me family is not blood. It is who shows up, who stays, who fights for you. She paused. Uncle Cal showed up. The courtroom was silent. Judge Wickham studying this 7-year-old child with ancient eyes. Mr. Brennan, approach. Cal stood, walked to the bench. Wickham spoke quietly. Just to him. I know what Vernon said about the mine, about my involvement. His voice was tired. It is true. I own that mine. I looked the other way when I should not have. Cal said nothing, just waited. But that child. Wickham looked past Cal to Lily. She deserves better than my corruption, better than this broken system. He paused. I am granting you full custody. With conditions. What conditions if Thomas Brennan is found alive? If he wants his daughter back, you will not fight him. You will do what is best for Lily. Not what is easy, not what you want. What is best. Cal met the judge's eyes. Agreed. And you will get help. Talk to someone. Deal with your anger, your grief. Become the man that child believes you are. I will. Wickham nodded, returned to his seat, raised his voice for the courtroom. In the matter of Lily Mae Pritchard, I am granting full custody and adoption rights to Callum Brennan, effective immediately. The gavel came down. The courtroom exploded. Cheers, tears, people surging forward. Cal turned, saw Lily running toward him, caught her, lifted her, held her while she cried into his shoulder. We did it, she whispered. We really did it, we did. Lily pulled back, looked at him with those blue-gray eyes that saw too much. Now you can go find them. Cal went still. What? Nathan and Papa, they are waiting for you, in Canada. Lily's voice was steady, stronger than a 7-year-old should sound. You won. I am safe. So now you can go be with your real family. You are my real family. I know, Lily smiled. Small, sad, but Nathan has been waiting 5 years. He does not even know you. He needs you more than I do right now. Cal knelt down, put his hands on her shoulders. Listen to me. I am not leaving you, not now, not ever. We won this together. We stay together. But what about Nathan? Cal pulled her close. Then we bring them here, to us. He paused. Family does not mean choosing one person over another. It means making room for everyone. Lily was quiet. Then, you promise, I promise. We will write to them tonight, tell them to come home. Lily nodded, hugged him tight. Okay. Around them the crowd pressed close. Rosa Chen touching his arm in congratulation. Father Sullivan offering prayer. Maria crying openly. Jenkins shaking his hand so hard it hurt. But Cal only saw Lily. This child who had stumbled into his life in a blizzard, who had broken open his carefully constructed isolation, who had given him reason to be better. Outside the courthouse, Vernon was led away in handcuffs. He had confessed to everything, would go to prison, would lose everything. But as they passed, Vernon looked at Cal, at Lily, and smiled, genuine, relieved. He had kept his promise, to Thomas, to himself. The cost did not matter. The celebration lasted through the afternoon. But by evening, Cal and Lily returned to the ranch, exhausted, overwhelmed, ready for quiet. They sat in the study, fire burning, evening light fading. A knock at the door. Maria entered. Mr. Brennan? This came while you were gone. She handed him a telegram. From British Columbia, from Whitefish. Cal opened it, his hands shaking. Message received. Nathan is safe. We are both alive. We'll come to Montana when snow melts. Expect us in June. Thank you, brother, for fighting when I could not. For being there for my daughter. For being the man I always believed you could be. Thomas. Cal read it 3 times. The words blurring through tears he did not try to stop. Lily looked up from her book. "What is it?" "It is," Cal's voice broke. "It is your father. He is alive, and he is coming here, with Nathan." Lily's eyes went wide. "Really? Really?" She set down her book, walked over, climbed into his lap like she was 5 instead of 7, held on tight. "Are you happy?" Cal wrapped his arms around her. "Yes." Terrified, but happy. "Me too." They sat like that as the sun set, as the room grew dark except for firelight, as the weight of everything slowly settled into something manageable. Thomas was alive. Nathan was alive. They would come, would be family again. But not immediately, not magically healed. June was 4 months away. 4 months to prepare, to figure out what reunion looked like when 20 years of damage needed mending. 4 months with Lily, learning to be a father to the daughter he had chosen, before trying to be a father to the son who had been stolen. It would be hard, complicated, messy. But for the first time in 5 years, Cal believed it was possible. The weeks that followed were strange, suspended, waiting for something that felt both imminent and distant. Vernon went to trial, pled guilty to all charges, was sentenced to 5 years in territorial prison. He lasted 18 months before consumption took him, long enough to write letters of apology to the 6 families he had wronged, long enough to make peace with what he had done, not long enough to be forgiven by everyone, but long enough to try. Cal attended the funeral. Lily did not, could not forgive yet, maybe never. But Cal stood at the grave and said a prayer for a man who had done terrible things for complicated reasons, who had kept a promise even when it destroyed him. Doc Moss died 2 weeks after the trial, went peacefully in his sleep. The consumption finally claiming what it had been stalking for years. Cal attended the funeral, stood at the back, remembered the old man's courage, his willingness to testify when it cost him the little strength he had left. Father Sullivan said Doc's last words were about Lily, about being glad he lived long enough to see justice done. It was a good death, as good as any could be. Harding's trial was bigger, more public. The investigation into the mine uncovered 12 deaths, dozens of safety violations, years of corruption. Judge Wickham resigned, faced no criminal charges, but lost everything else: reputation, position, legacy. Cal felt no satisfaction in it, just tired sadness that power corrupted so easily, that good men looked away until it was too late. The ranch settled into new rhythms. Lily learned to work cattle, to mend fence, to do the 1,000 small tasks that made a ranch run. She was good at it, patient, careful, the kind of child who listened and learned and asked smart questions. At night she still had nightmares, still woke crying, but less often, and when she did, Cal was there, sitting with her until the fear passed, until sleep came easier. He was learning how to be present without controlling, how to comfort without fixing, how to love without suffocating. It was harder than he expected. His instinct was still to plan, to prevent, to make everything perfect so nothing could go wrong. But perfection was not what Lily needed. She needed consistency, honesty, someone who showed up even when it was hard. Cal could do that, was doing that, one day at a time. March turned to April. Snow melted. Grass returned. The valley transformed from white to brown to green. Letters came from Thomas, 1 each week. Careful, testing, rebuilding connection across 20 years of silence. Thomas wrote about Nathan, about raising a boy who was not his son but felt like it, about the guilt of lying, the fear of being discovered, the strange blessing of getting to be a father when he had thought he never would. He wrote about Sarah, about how she had struggled with guilt, had wanted to tell Cal the truth but feared his reaction, had died before finding courage. He wrote about the mine, about the murder he witnessed, about 7 years of hiding, of looking over his shoulder, of teaching Nathan to be ready to run at any moment. The letters were careful, apologetic, full of the kind of pain that came from knowing you had hurt someone and could never completely fix it. Cal wrote back, also careful, also apologetic, talking about his own failures, his anger, his grief, his slow learning that being broken did not mean being beyond repair. They were feeling their way toward reconciliation. Slow work, painful work, but genuine in a way nothing had been for 20 years. And Nathan. Nathan wrote too, short letters at first, awkward, a 12-year-old trying to understand the father he had never known. Cal treasured each one, read them until he had them memorized, wrote back with stories about the ranch, about Lily, about the life Nathan would find when he came. He did not promise it would be perfect, did not claim to be a perfect father, just promised to try, to be there. To not run when things got hard, it was the most honest he had been in 20 years. June came with heat and thunderstorms and the kind of Montana summer that made you forget winter existed. Cal stood at the ranch gate at dawn on June 15th, watching the road, waiting. Lily stood beside him, nervous, excited, about to meet her father again, about to meet a cousin she had not known existed. They had been standing there for an hour when the wagon appeared, small dot on the horizon growing larger, two figures on the seat, man and boy, getting closer. Cal's chest tightened, his breath coming faster. 5 years of grief, 20 years of silence, all coming to this moment. The wagon stopped 10 feet from the gate. Thomas climbed down, older, weathered, but unmistakably Cal's brother. They stood looking at each other, 20 years of words unsaid hanging between them. Then Thomas spoke, voice rough. "Brother." Cal could not speak, could only nod. Thomas took a step forward, stopped. "I am sorry. For everything. For lying. For taking Nathan. For—" "Stop." Cal's voice was barely a whisper. "I am sorry, too." Thomas's face crumpled. He crossed the distance, pulled Cal into a hug. Two grown men holding on like drowning sailors, crying without shame. Behind them, Nathan climbed down from the wagon, 12 years old, tall for his age, dark hair, blue eyes, Cal's eyes. The boy stood uncertain, not running to the stranger who was his father, not knowing what to do. Lily walked over, held out her hand. "Hi, I am Lily, your cousin." "Sort of." Nathan took her hand, smiled, shy. "Hi, come on, I will show you the horses. They are really cool." The two children walked toward the barn, leaving the men to their reunion. Thomas pulled back, wiped his eyes. "That is your daughter now." "She is." "You did good, Cal." "She is." He stopped. "She is amazing. She saved my life." Cal looked at his brother. "You both did. You and Nathan. Gave me reason to be better." Thomas nodded, looked toward the barn. "You ready for this?" "For him, no," Cal admitted. "Terrified, actually." "Good. Fear means you care." Thomas smiled. "We will figure it out. Together." They walked toward the house. Slow, taking their time. There was no rush now, just the rest of their lives to build something from the wreckage. Inside, Maria had prepared enough food for an army. The table groaned under the weight of it. They ate together. All four of them. Careful, polite, feeling each other out. Nathan asked about the ranch, about the cattle, about whether he could learn to rope. Cal answered, patient, trying not to overwhelm, trying to let the boy set the pace. Lily told stories about Vernon, about the trial, about learning to ride. She made Nathan laugh, made everyone laugh. The sound of it filled the house, chased out years of silence. After dinner, Cal found Nathan on the porch. The boy was watching the sunset. The sky painted orange and purple and gold. Cal sat down beside him, not too close, leaving space. They sat in silence for a long time, just breathing, just being. Finally, Nathan spoke. "Do I have to call you Father Cal?" Felt the question like a blow, but understood it. "No. You can call me whatever feels right. Cal. Uncle Cal. Whatever." Nathan nodded, relieved. "Because?" He struggled. "Because I do not really know you, and Papa. Uncle Thomas, I mean. He is the one who raised me. I know. And that is okay." Cal turned to look at the boy. "I do not expect you to love me, Nathan, or even like me. He stopped. "I just want the chance to know you, to be in your life, however that looks." Nathan looked at him, really looked. "You are different than I thought you would be. How, I do not know. Quieter, maybe. Sadder?" Nathan paused. "But not mean, not like your father, like our grandfather." Cal's throat tightened. "I try not to be. Do you ever get angry all the time? But I am learning to stop, to breathe, to choose something other than rage." Cal smiled. "Your sister helps with that. Lily. She is fierce, does not let me get away with anything. Nathan smiled. She seems cool. She is. They sat in comfortable silence as the stars came out, as the night pressed close, as years of separation slowly began to feel less impossible to bridge. Inside, Lily and Thomas were doing dishes, their voices drifting through the open window. Laughter. Easy conversation. The sound of family. Cal looked at his son, at this almost stranger who carried his blood, who had his eyes, who he would spend the rest of his life trying to know. It would not be easy, would not be quick, but it would be real. And that, Cal was learning, was enough. 3 years later, spring of 1888. Lily was 10. Nathan was 16 now. The ranch had grown. More cattle, more land, more hands to work it. Cal was 40 now. No longer the isolated man who had ridden through a blizzard 5 years ago, gray showing at his temples, lines deeper around his eyes, but lighter somehow, like a weight had lifted. The house had changed too. No longer silent, no longer isolated. Now it was full, loud, alive with the chaos of family. Thomas lived in the foreman's cottage, close enough to help, far enough to give Cal space to learn fatherhood on his own terms. The brothers worked together, slowly rebuilding trust, slowly learning to talk about hard things, about their father, about their mother, about all the ways they had failed and were trying not to fail again. Perfection eluded them. They still fought, still misunderstood each other. Scars remained that would never fully heal. But they showed up, day after day, choosing family over pride, choosing connection over comfort. Nathan and Cal had found their rhythm too, not father and son exactly. Something else, something neither of them had words for, but both recognized as valuable. They worked cattle together, fixed fence, broke horses. The ranch work providing structure for a relationship that did not fit traditional molds. Nathan called him Cal, not father, maybe never father, and that was okay. Lily thrived, grew stronger, louder, more confident. She worked the ranch like she was born to it, kept books like a natural accountant, asked questions that made everyone think harder. She still had nightmares sometimes, still flinched at raised voices, still would not go near the root cellar where Vernon had locked her, still woke screaming on the anniversary of Thomas's death. The scars on her arm had faded to white lines, but the ones inside were slower to heal. Some days she was the fierce 10-year-old who ran the ranch like she owned it. Other days she was small again, frightened, needing reassurance that Cal would not send her away. But she was healing, slow, uneven. 2 steps forward and 1 back, building a life from the wreckage one day at a time. On a Sunday in late spring they planted trees, apple trees, 15 of them at the old Pritchard homestead. The whole town came to help. Rosa Chen, Father Sullivan, Jenkins and his wife, Miguel and Maria and all the ranch hands. People who had once whispered now showed up with shovels and saplings and the kind of community that made hard things bearable. They planted with few words. The work spoke for itself, each tree a prayer, each hole in the earth a testament to survival. When the last tree was in the ground, Lily stood looking at the small orchard, at the beginning of something that would outlive them all. "What do we do now?" she asked. "Now we wait." Cal put his hand on her shoulder. "We water them, care for them, wait for them to grow. How long does it take? For apples 5 years, maybe." He paused. "For healing longer." Lily leaned against him. "I can wait. Me too." Around them the town packed up, loaded wagons, called goodbyes, returned to their lives knowing they had participated in something good, something that mattered. Thomas and Nathan stood by the well, looking down into darkness, talking quietly about something Cal could not hear. He watched them, these pieces of his broken family, slowly being reformed into something new. Not what it was, not what anyone planned, but real. Anna Blackwood approached. She had stayed in Montana, opened a dress shop, visited regularly. She handed Cal a letter. This came yesterday, from the territorial governor, about Vernon's estate. Cal opened it, read. The estate, what little Vernon had left after restitution, had been willed to Lily, placed in trust until she turned 18. It was not much. Maybe $300, but it was something. Vernon's final apology, his last attempt to make right what he had made wrong. "Will you tell her?" Anna asked. "Someday, when she is ready." Cal folded the letter, put it in his pocket. Anna nodded, looked at the apple trees, the wildflowers planted around them, purple and yellow, the kind Sarah used to love. "She would be proud of you." You know that Cal felt tears prick his eyes. "I hope so, not hope. No." Anna touched his arm. "You became the man she always believed you could be. You just needed the right reason." She walked away, left Cal standing among the small trees, the fragile hope they represented. Evening came. The last stragglers left. Just family remained, the four of them, Cal and Thomas, Lily and Nathan. They sat on the porch of the rebuilt homestead, small house, nothing fancy, but solid, a place Lily could claim as hers when she was older, a place that honored Thomas's memory while building toward Lily's future. The sun set golden, painting the valley, the mountains, the apple orchard. Cal looked at his family, broken and rebuilt, imperfect and present, everything he never knew he needed. Lily leaned against his shoulder. Nathan sat whittling. Thomas told stories about their mother, about the good memories before everything fell apart. The night pressed close, stars appearing one by one, and Cal thought about the blizzard, about a small girl asking for one night, about how one night became weeks, became months, became years, about how the hardest truths were the ones you ran from, but facing them, living through them, that was where healing lived. He pulled Lily closer, caught Nathan's eye, nodded at Thomas. This was family, messy and complicated, hard-won and still healing, but theirs. And in the end, that was all that mattered. The price of silence had been 20 years of grief, of isolation, of lives lived separately when they should have been lived together, but the price was paid, the debt settled. What remained was this: evening light, family gathered, small trees growing, hope planted in earth that had known fire. It was enough, more than enough. It was everything.